When I was a kid, I used to personify a lot of inanimate objects in my life. I used to feel bad if I gave certain stuffed animals more attention than others, or when I used the Elmo side of my pillowcase more than the side with Cookie Monster on it. And I know this isn't an experience that has uniquely only affected me, but as I've gotten older, I definitely feel that empathy less than I used to. I still see faces in cars and I still feel bad for the clothes I don't wear as often, but I definitely feel like I've outgrown that personification more over the years, and I notice that others have as well. When I walk around the city, I notice things on the road that are easy to pass off as litter or something, but I wanted to see if I could bring back life to those objects that had been lost or forgotten about. I found this feather across the street, picked it up, had gloves, don't worry, and continued my journey. I was right outside my dorm at this point, so I was just collecting and looking for things on 34th. Not sure why this receipt caught my attention, but picked it up anyways. Outside the Mocha coffee place, I found this box cutter and decided to take it. Actually, it might have been one of those envelope opener things, but I wanted to grab things that I felt like didn't get an end to their story. I decided to go further uptown and explore just because didn't want everything to be around my dorm. And honestly, I was connecting to this glove I was spending the day with. While I was transferring, I really tried to avoid picking up this one because I thought it was gross, but I just felt really bad for it, and I went back and grabbed this coffee cup. And it was probably the grossest thing I grabbed all day. Also, I didn't realize that the coffee dripped on me, so that's really fun. I got to 116th Street. I didn't want to pick up just anything, I wanted to pick up things that I connected to. I spotted a rope left behind by the construction people, I think. Before grabbing it, I waited to see if they needed it, and they saw me grab it and they did not care, so took it. At this point, I was starting to not find much. It was really pretty in this area though. I really like East Harlem, and I was struggling. But then I found a wheel. Took it. That was a great find. I was really excited about that one. But then I started thinking about how the loss of something can really affect a community. Like that wheel, whatever it was attached to, will not roll very well without it, and I'm sure it's missing its other family members. That made me feel really sad. Even that rope I picked up earlier had a knot that was still intact, and yet it still wasn't good enough to be saved. I also thought about how old these objects were when they were manufactured, and whether they were satisfied that they had served their purpose if they were old, or what if they were kids who had other plans than what they were made to be intended for? Like maybe they were rebellious teenagers, or tried really hard to be something that they're not. I don't know, man, I got really emotional, and I started looking at every single object that I came across in that way, and I was like, you know what, I think it's time to call it. But I felt like I didn't have enough things to form a community just yet, so I headed over to Central Park. On the way, I found this paper with people's addresses on them, and it looked super important. It was just on the street. I'm not gonna dox anyone, but it was probably a duplicate or a twin. At this point, I was getting quite irritated and just thought about grabbing absolutely anything I could. I wasn't connecting to absolutely anything, and I just realized that I needed to sit down. As I was sitting and appreciating the nature around me, I had found, right next to my park bench, a little treasure that was hidden in the bushes. I was really happy to find this ball, and I wondered if it belonged to a small child or a dog, and if they still thought about it from time to time. Also, my bag was not smelling too great at this point. My glove also found some of its relatives, so I made sure they had a chance to say hello. As I was leaving, I found this weirdly stationed paper towel roll as well. This was really awkward to grab because there were girls chatting right next to me, and I asked them if it was theirs, but I grabbed this frisbee too. I also realized why it was left behind, or maybe I just can't throw a frisbee. I didn't want to over-explain myself before, so now it's time to get to the actual point. I really started to look at things, and not just at what something was, but what it could be. Like a crumpled receipt became a story that was never finished, and a feather was like someone waiting to be reunited with its feather flock family. A paper towel roll looked like someone who had given up all their energy just to be the pillar of their community, and over time of collecting these objects, they started to become characters and not be so disposable. They were quiet, overlooked witnesses to the lives moving around them. I feel like in a city that moves as fast as this one, it's easy to forget how much exists outside of our own urgency. But when I slowed down, I realized that imagination isn't really something that we outgrow. It's something that we stop making space for. And when we do make space for it again, even the smallest, most ordinary things can begin to feel significant. It sounds cheesy, but it's true. I wanted to create community by these objects and leave them out someplace where they could hopefully be appreciated by people. I wasn't going to draw eyes or try to force people to see empathy in them or personify it by anything other than what it actually was. I just hope that people value the fact that it exists, even though it wasn't serving its intended purpose. The fact that it's there is just enough. I feel like a lot of us have felt that way too, just disposable, especially in a big city where we're overlooked so often every single day. It can make us feel like we're not worth much, but when we find a community, we find our place and we feel like we're worth something. And I hope that these objects have found that life within them in the community that I created for them, however it looks. I kind of like the wheel. It looks like a little hat with the feather sticking out of it too, so hopefully people can see that as well. I did not throw away the rest of that paper towel roll. I wrote a little note on it just so that someone wouldn't think it's trash and throw it away, and also welcome a chance for people to connect with it. The next morning I took her with me and we went to Central Park. I was concerned the birds might mess with her and it was a little rainy and windy, but other than that, I think she was gonna be fine. I added a note welcoming people to take a picture and post it and tag me if they wanted to. Sprayed some Febreze on her and then said goodbye. And when I came back, she was still there! She was a little damp and it was windier the next day, but I was happy. I did not get any tagged pictures, but as I left her again, I noticed that people would at least take a glance over at her, which made me feel like she was serving a purpose that people respected.